It culminated with a conversation I had with Prime Minister Modi on after the end of the last session at the G20 in Delhi, where I sat down and shared that we knew that they were involved and expressed a real concern around it. He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken against the Indian government living in Canada that he would like to see arrested. And I tried to explain that freedom of speech and freedom of people who come to our country to be Canadians to criticize governments overseas is, or indeed to criticize the Canadian government, is a fundamental freedom of Canada. But as always, we would work with them on any evidence or any concerns they have around terrorism or incitement to hate or anything that is patently unacceptable in Canada. And we have taken action in the past. We continue to take action. Even as I emphasize, and I have emphasized regularly, my position and Canada's position is to defend the territorial integrity of India. One India is official Canadian policy. And the fact that there are a number of people in Canada who advocate otherwise does not make it Canadian policy, but also does not make it, is not something that is illegal in Canada. Having done all that, we returned to Canada, and it was obvious that the Indian government response, particularly through the media, was to instead attack Canada, to attack Canadians, to criticize us, to undermine our government and our governance, and quite frankly, the integrity of our democracy. Combined with the fact that as we approached the end of September, it looked like there was going to be media stories detailing some of these allegations that were getting out there. When on the first day that the House returned, we determined that it was in the interest of public safety in Canada to let people know that we knew about these allegations, that we were following up on them. There was an investigation into them that was taken on by police services in Canada to ensure that, partially to ensure that nobody in Canada and any communities felt like they needed to take action themselves, that they should trust Canadian institutions to take this threat seriously and follow up on it. And that's exactly what we then did. We launched investigations. The Indian response to these allegations and to our investigations was to double down on attacks against this government, attacks against this government's integrity, attacks against Canada in general, but also to arbitrarily eject dozens of diplomats from Canada, from Canadian diplomats from India, on absolutely no cause other than to say, well, we don't like what you said in the House about us, and we're going to punish you for that. This was a situation in which we had clear, and certainly now even clearer, indications that India had violated Canada's sovereignty, and their response was to double down and attack Canada further, rather than take responsibility or say, how can we fix this? Yes, this was a violation of the rule of law, and even take any of the many off-ramps we offered, because we don't want to be in this situation of picking a fight with a significant trading partner with whom we have deep people-to-people ties and a long history, and our fellow democracies. But standing up unequivocally for Canadian sovereignty and for the safety of Canadians back then was essential, and absolutely led to the very, very clear pronouncements we made earlier this week that the RCMP, the conclusions and the evidence that the RCMP determined in terms of violence towards Canadians that has been enabled by and directed by, in many cases, the Indian government.